Good morning. Hello. Excellent. That's technically 9 now, so thanks everybody who's here for joining on time. I appreciate it. It makes my life easier. Good morning. All right. Well, we got 6 people. Excellent. Excellent. I'm still missing a pretty good amount of people. Got a couple more. Excellent. Excellent. You can give everybody just a minute or two. Not late. Okay. You're not late. No, I don't typically count you guys late till like 9, 10, 9, 15. You know, especially if you let me know what's up and you like give me like a, hey, yo, I'm driving. I'll be there. I don't normally tend to count you guys late if you're only a couple minutes late. So I get it. Stuff happens. So I'm going to give you guys just another minute or two. We're getting up there. We're starting to look like I have everybody. How's everybody's weekend? Tell me, you know, if you did something exciting or not. Slash, how are you guys like staying sane? Because I'll tell you what, I am going like Sunday night, I'm like stir crazy of just being in the house for so long. So what are you guys doing to avoid the stir craziness? Are you like, this is great. Doing nothing is great. Good morning. I planted broccoli and carrot seeds and weeded the garden. Excellent apocalypse planning. You're ready. Agreed. Yeah, Diane, I'm pretty sure you're a lot like me. You're just like, okay, I want to go work. I want to go do stuff. Excuse me. I've been going on like 10 walks. Yeah, I felt very like emo last night because I went for a walk and then it started like raining. And so then I got home and like made tea, and I was like, ah, yes, my true life purpose of being like a movie goth. I went and picked flowers during my walk yesterday. There's a bunch of like really like pretty like bushes, so I went and picked flowers from the bushes in my apartment. I feel that maybe we should start like sharing like all of our passwords for everything, because that's what I've been doing. I've been asking other people for their passwords and being like, here's my Amazon Prime account so you can watch Amazon Prime. Can I get in your Netflix account? Set up a trading network for digital accounts so that way people can all get the content that they want. I also need TV show recommendations or video game recommendations because I need like a non-productive thing to do. I like horror and sci-fi. Don't you have to have a Switch to play Animal Crossing? Because I don't have a Switch. I don't own any consoles. I have a laptop. I own a Game Boy. I take it back. I own a Game Boy. Okay, maybe. It's very low stress. I enjoy low stress. I can handle that. I don't know what that is. Is that supposed to be like Doom 2? You play Animal Crossing and Doom. Every time is good. I hung out with my brother on Friday. XCOM doesn't look terrible. This looks like shooty alien game. That doesn't look terrible. It's got a pretty high rating too. Oh, it's turn-based? Ew, turn-based games are boring. Just kidding. It's Gonzo. All right, cool. A little bit past our time when we're supposed to start. It looks like I have a pretty good amount of you. And very stressed though. I don't know. Okay, so like the video games I like are like Devil May Cry and like Portal. Those are like the classic like games that I really enjoy. So they can be high stress games. They just have to be fun. Thank you. DMC's where it's at. All right. I think we got a pretty good amount of people. So we got a lot I want to get through today. So I spent a lot of time thinking about how I wanted to do your project and like all sorts of stuff. So we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to end lecture a little bit early today because I still have interviews for the next class. So I got to do that. So we're going to be ending at like 11:30. And then I will be in the lab for a while this afternoon. I don't know if I'll be there the whole time, but I'll be there for a while. I'm also, okay, I have like 47 things I need to tell you and I don't want to forget about any of them. So if this like next 20 minutes is kind of erratic, sorry. I just want to make sure you get all the information you need, even if it's not in the best order. So one, I'll be leaving a little bit early for an interview. I will be at the clubhouse for most of the afternoon. If you need me to get anything off of the computers, Slack me and let me know. Damien and Nicole have both offered to be remote mentors, so I can give you their contact information. Text them, email them, whatever. They're all in our Slack. You can just Slack them too and be like, hey, I'm interested in mentoring. When would you like to meet up? So you guys have that available to you, which is super nice of both of them. I'm very excited. You guys have that. So mentoring, I'm leaving early. We'll do our group project stuff. Another thing that I will be doing this afternoon is I'll be setting up, okay, barring nobody tells me no, but very rarely people tell me no. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be setting up this program called Folding at Home on all the computers to help do research for this outbreak, which will be very nice to get done. If you guys are interested, Folding at Home is a distributed network program that uses idle computer time to help do research. Yeah, it's a cool little app. This is what I'll be doing this afternoon. If you have like a computer you want to put it on, it's a cool little thing. It's really easy to set up. It doesn't take a lot of your computer time. It's nice. If you want to do something to help out besides like social distancing and washing your hands, you can donate your computer to kind of help do actual research, which is cool. Okay. Folding at Home, mentoring. We're going to start a group project, and I'll talk more about that later. Yeah. So for you guys on slide. Okay. Yes, I can. Great. So that's that. Is there anything else that I'm thinking about? Group project. Oh, for your homework for last week, I just want you to get through day 2, and that's what I'm expecting for that. It's just day 2. We'll be starting the group project today. You have 2 weeks, and then it'll be spring break, so that's exciting. So spring break's only like 2 weeks away. That's not too bad. Let's see what else. We're gonna finish week 8's content today and tomorrow. If we finish it all today, fabuloso, but I'm not stressing about it. Yeah, more time at home. So here's what's up. And I'm letting you guys know stuff as I know stuff. Currently, I don't have an end date. So for at least we will be remote for this week. And then what I was planning on was doing every 2 weeks and checking in and seeing what's up. But honestly, it looks like we're probably going to be remote for the rest of the class is what it looks like. So that's what we will be working with. Is that what we're going to do and 100% committed in stone? No. But that's what like the tentative plan in production looks like. Yeah. That is what I got going on. Because the other thing is this is week 9. So we have 4 weeks of class and 3 weeks of actual content. The 1 week's the makeup week and all that. So we have this week and next week when we're doing the group project. Then we have spring break. Then the 13th through the 17th is actual content. And then the 20th through the 24th is our makeup week. And then graduation's on the 24th. I have no idea what we're doing for graduation. Maybe we'll be back and we get to do something and that'll be really exciting and cool. Maybe that's far enough away that things will be at a more stable place and we get to do stuff like that. It doesn't look that far away, so I don't know. But yeah, so that's what's up. I know at the very least, we will be remote this entire week, probably at least through spring break. Hopefully, we'll be back for the last 2 weeks because I really want to have our graduation together. Like, I don't want you guys to not have that. I think it's a really important, fun thing to celebrate all the hard work you guys have done. So that's where I'm at. At this point, I am not overly optimistic I'm not overly optimistic that that's going to happen, but you know, that's a while away. It's like 6 weeks away. So we'll see. But I know we will probably be remote through spring break. So that is what is up. Yeah, any other questions about like scheduling, programming things, like programming like a wedding program, not like coding? Okay, cool. So that's what's up. Yeah, man, those are stressful, crazy times. Apparently, like the Vatican canceled Easter, which is kind of like one of the most insane statements I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah, you can save the chat. That is, yep. If you do need anything, like somebody to ask like a really good question, you want to save it, you can save the chat. Cool. Okay. So one more time, I will be leaving at like 11:30 is when lecture is going to end today. We're going to start a group project today. Vatican does what it wants. You can't. You can't do what? Turan, what are you talking about? Yeah, no, unless you want to record your screen, you're not. The only thing that gets recorded is like your guys' names on the bar. That's the only thing that gets recorded. Cancel Easter. Yeah, no, I'm not making it up. Like I've seen it multiple times at the Vatican canceled Easter. Like I'm not in that circle, so I don't know what exactly that means. Like, are they just canceling Easter service? Or are they just like, no, 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 no. It's not happening this year. Just be on Lent forever. You're on Lent until the quarantine's over. Um, but yeah, I think it just means that the Easter service is canceled, is what it's saying. But saying the Vatican canceled Easter is buck wild. Yeah. And I mean, you know, I'm sure everybody with kids is still going to like hide stuff in the house and all that for them. It's rough. I am so glad that I don't have like young kids. I cannot even imagine if you guys have young kids and you're doing it, and like I'm very impressed by you guys because like I can barely take care of me and keep me entertained. I can't imagine like keeping a young child entertained. So if you guys have young kids, I'm like super impressed by you for like doing it. Yeah, agreed. Like I'm good. So if you got young kids and you're keeping them entertained, agreed. Cool. All right. So you guys have mentors. So you can Slack them is probably the best way to get to them. I told them both to be on the lookout for Slack messages. Um, anything else? I'm gonna leave a little bit early today. We're going to be remote at least till spring break. Do I have anything else that I want to talk about before we get to actual content? I don't think so. I think that's it. Mentoring, I'm leaving early. We're going to be remote for a while. You missed everything. You missed the Vatican canceling Easter. Uh, just to catch you up, Nick, Nicole and Damien both said that they're willing to be remote mentors, so feel free to reach out to them on Slack. I will be, lecture's going to end at like 11:30 today because I have an interview still, and I will be at the lab for a little bit this afternoon. What else? What else? What else? What else? You can set up folding at home if you want to help do research during these trying times. I don't know. I think that's it. I think that's it. Cool. Okay. Yeah. I think what I want to do is go over your group project first so we have everything. We can work through all of the questions we have. And then we will do regular lecture. So yeah, let me get that document. All right, so typically what I do is I write like 2 sentences and then I don't talk to you guys during lab time for like 2 weeks and then I grade you guys extremely harshly. That's typically what I do for the remote or the group project is I'm just like, I want this, bye. With us being remote, I don't really think that's gonna work. So I made a much more broken down structured document for you guys, which I hope will help. I'm gonna put it in Slack so you guys have it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and open it and share the screen so we can take a look. So this is in Slack, so you guys have this. I will probably also put it on GitHub for you guys. I do not enjoy that I have to reset all of my stuff every time I try to share my screen. Okay, okay, there we go. Cool. Hang on, I'm still moving boxes. Sorry, I thought it was behaving, but it isn't. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is in Slack. I'll put it in GitHub too, so you guys have it in multiple places. So this is going to be due at 4 p.m. on April 3rd. That is right before spring break. So I do not want you guys to be doing like a bunch of homework during spring break. Take an actual break. I would recommend like going somewhere normally, but isn't gonna happen. I don't know. I don't have a lot for you guys. I'm really bummed about not being able to go anywhere spring break. I was planning on going somewhere, literally anywhere, but I think it's just gonna be me hanging out at my mom's house. Is what it looks like. But I do want you guys to get it done before spring break, because I don't want you guys to stress out. You guys need an actual break. So again, like I said, normally I just let you guys do whatever you want, and then I grade it at the end. Because it's remote, it's going to be a lot more structured. So I'm going to make you guys 2 groups, and I picked your groups out for you. I will put them in Slack, but just so you guys know. And what I tried to do was just kind of like pick people whose strengths would complement each other. I wasn't trying to like, I guess I could have let you guys pick your groups, but I figured that would take a long time, so I just picked them for you. I tried to make them pretty, like, each person has a person who's really good at design, each person has a person who's really good at SQL. I try to balance the groups like that. So for group 1, and I'll put this on Slack too so you have it, I have Lexi, Jamila, Carlos, Charles, Sarah, Venus, and Priscilla is group 1. And then my second group is Tyler, Shanice, Jimmy, Diane, Tehran, Nick, and Taiwanda. So that's how I'm breaking up your guys' groups. And that's all I'm going to do for your grouping stuff. I'll put that in Slack so you guys have it. What I want you guys to self-decide and tell me is each group should have 1 project manager, 2 front-end developers, 2, not it, you don't want to be the project manager? Okay, I was like, did I skip you? No, I put you on the list. I was so confused. I was like, oh no, I missed someone, but no, okay. 2 back-end developers and 2 QAs. This is in the direction 2. These are not stone hardcore defined rules. If I hear anybody say something like that's not my job or that's not my role, I will be very upset. It is a group project where you guys are all working together. This is for you guys to divide the labor up so you understand what you should be focusing on. But if somebody needs help or you see somebody struggling, you should help them. Excellent. Here, let me put you guys' groups in here. There we go. Cool. I expect every single person to contribute code to the project. That can be things like Mocha tests, it can be things like documentation, it can be things like CSS. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the JavaScript section, but I expect everyone to contribute code. So each team is going to turn in all of these things on this list. So each team is going to have their own GitHub repo that all the code gets turned in on. Each team is going to have a website hosted on Heroku, and we're going to talk about how to do that today. You're not buying anything, you're not making like a real website. It's like a real website, but it's going to have a name like Fluffy Bunny by Heroku at heroku.com. You guys aren't going to spend any money for any of this. We're just going to use all the free stuff. You can make your own Slack group, and I highly recommend doing it. It does help a lot. Yeah, break it up into your own Slack group. You can make it private if you want. You can make it public. You can kick me out of it. You can add me to it. It doesn't matter. But I do recommend definitely making your own Slack channel. So, we'll talk about how to get that website hosted on Heroku today. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I expect just 2 HTML pages. One will be a user page and one's going to be an admin page. You should have JavaScript code to run the server. This will be Node. I recommend if you really like want to make this okay. So I think using Express will make this easier for most of you guys. But if you look at Express's documentation, you're like, I have no idea. And a lot of tutorials are written with Express. So it might be easier to use Express than just plain Node. No, Express is just a framework for Node. It's basically just like just a new set of tools we get to use with Node. It's not super complicated to use. Most people use it. You don't have to use it. I think it'll be easier for you to use Express for this project than not. But that is your individual group's decision to do. You might put all of your stuff in one file. You might put them in separate files. You might have like a couple JavaScript files running. Doesn't super matter. Whatever you guys think is easiest or, ends up just working. So you're going to have code to run the server and you're going to have validation code. You can smush them or separate them as much as you want. The next part is you're going to have a database running on JawsDB, and we're going to talk about that today too. It only needs one table, and it's going to contain all this user info, which we'll talk about what that is in a minute. This is optional if you want to make CSS for your website to make it nice. You can totally do that, and I will definitely, give you guys bonus points for that. Make sure everything works before you even think about CSS, because I will be grading much more harshly for functionality than if it looks nice. And this is something we haven't talked about yet, is documentation. So I expect there to be well-written documentation. So I put this link in here for you guys. And this explains why we write documentation, what good documentation looks like, and like what I expect from you guys. There's a bunch of tools, like if you want to use these. So I really like this why. I'm a big why person. So like, why do we write documentation? So you write it for you because you're going to be using your code. Remember that joke about like, when I wrote this code, only God and me knew what was going on 6 months later? Does everyone write down some documentation or one person? That's a good question. Everyone should write comments and that kind of stuff, but I would highly recommend only one person, either a QA or the project manager, writing the final documentation. Everyone can contribute to it, but one person should be in charge of it. That is a good question. Um, so, you know, write good documentation so like you can pick up a project a couple months from now and know what you were doing. You want people to use your code and give you credit, so like put your name on it. This self-determination thing's kind of weird. It just means like you make a plan and you actually stick to it. And then if you write well-documented open source code and it's documented well, people are a lot more likely to use it. Again, if you write documented code, other people are going to be a lot more willing to help you with stuff. For science, if you're doing something a little bit bigger, then it's easier for other people to know what's up. So I want you guys to turn in your documentation in the README file of your GitHub repo. This is actually like pretty much exactly what I want. You don't have API documentation necessarily, but you would write out about like the functionality of your code. So what is the project? Do you have to do anything to install it? A short example, maybe screenshots of your actual production like website would be cool. You don't need to do the issue tracker thing. Going through your code and writing out what the functionality of your code is. Document your code. Put comments in your code and write code to good standards. So use appropriate let and const instead of var if that's appropriate. Make sure that your spacing is nice. Use appropriate variable names. Use appropriate function names. I'm not expecting like optimized refactored code. I'm just expecting clean code. So like I shouldn't open your thing and be like, I should be able to open your thing and be like, oh, this section is doing this piece and they're using this function which exists over here. If you're going to have a bunch of stuff, please use a reasonable file structure so that way I can see where everything is. Put your name on the, you know, your README so you can be like, this is our project and we did a good job. You don't have to put your email addresses in there. And then you guys probably won't have multiple versions because it's only 2 weeks. So yeah, this is in that syllabus link so you can go through it. It gives you a bunch of other stuff. Have we talked a lot? I know we've talked vaguely about open source, but like, can we understand that like writing documentation is like a fundamental part of open source code? Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So we haven't talked about functionality yet, but does everyone understand what I'm expecting to have in my hands at 4 p.m. April 3rd? Okay. Okay, so what I want on April 3rd is basically I want you guys to give me the URL from the Heroku website and we'll talk about how that's going to look like today. And then it should have HTML and JavaScript at least. It should have a GitHub repo with a README that's written well and a database and maybe some CSS. Cool. All right. So now let's talk about the actual functionality of what I want your project to do. So you should have 2 pages. When you navigate to the user page, which this can be your home page, I don't really want a whole bunch of other stuff. I just want it to work. It should have an input for a phone number and an input for a name and a button for the user to submit the input. This information is going to go to your database, so you should do validation before it hits your database. This is not a complete list of validation, and this is going to be a lot of what your QA people are doing. But you know, think about like, how do I want them to put their phone number in? Do I let people who have like dashes and apostrophes put those in their names? What happens if it's empty? Should there like things I know people shouldn't put as phone numbers, like all zeros isn't a phone number? What happens if people put like letters in the phone number and numbers in their name? How do I protect against SQL injection? Do I care about duplicates in my database? Just think about these, answer these questions as you're going and making your code. Make decisions about it. This, and kind of what I'm thinking with this is you're kind of making like a marketing website. So like, sometimes this doesn't happen as much as it used to, but people would make websites that would have just landing pages before the actual website launched. And so they would do things like put your email in to be notified when the website goes live. That's kind of what we're doing. I want then, after this information has been validated, to go to our database and just be added. You can name the table whatever you want, probably something like customers or users. So that's what the user page should do. Should have 2 input boxes and a button, and it should go to the database after being validated. Any questions about that piece? What should be on the admin page? Great, that is the next section. Okay, so everybody's good about what the user page should do? I have a yes, okay. The admin page, now I do not want you guys to make a login service. Doing user authentication is a really big thing, especially in Node. It's kind of hard to set up and like you have to do a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want you guys to do that. This admin page is just another page. You can just be like /admin, wonderful. I want the admin page to just have it just takes all the stuff from the database and puts it on the web page. That's all I want. Maybe some formatting so it's easy to read, but I just want it to come back from the database and display on the web page. So that way, our marketing person can call all of them about, our wonderful whatever we're making. Don't make a login service. Don't be super fancy, complicated. I just want the stuff. I want one page to put stuff in the database and one page to pull stuff out of the database. It doesn't do anything. The admin page just prints everything. Yeah, exactly. The admin page just shows what's in the database. Yep. All right. So the things that I'm going to be grading you guys on is completion, collaboration, and organization. So completion is I can navigate to the website, I can put a user in, and then I can look on the admin page and see it. Collaboration means that everyone contributed to the project. There's good documentation and there's not fights and disorganization and craziness. Organization means that your code is written to clean code standards and everybody knows what they're doing. I can ask any of you guys at any point and be like, hey, what are you working on? And you can be like, oh, I'm doing blah, blah, blah. I think we might do stand-ups. I don't know if I want to do them every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a week so you guys can see what is up. But yeah, that's what I want you guys to do. You guys don't have any homework for the next 2 weeks except for doing this. So, it should be good. This is what we're working on till spring break. Lecture time, we will be doing normal lectures. Today's lecture will help you guys with your stuff, and tomorrow's lecture will give you a little bit more context. But after starting Wednesday, we'll just be going over some more computer science concepts, which will help strengthen your interview skills, but maybe not super. Are we still doing last week's homework? It's not done. I want you to finish day 2, but that's it. Don't worry about the other days. I want you to get through day 1 and day 2, and that's it. But I would prioritize the group project because this is going to be a bigger chunk of your grade than that. Cool. And the other thing I do want to reiterate, just because I don't want you guys to be stressing, is like, yes, exactly, just 1 and 2. Yeah, we'll probably finish the other ones after spring break. That's what we'll probably do. So you guys have another project to put on your thing. Just so you guys don't stress out, remember, as always, like, you just need to show up and do your homework to pass. If the project super explodes and is terrible, you probably will still pass. No stress. And you get a lot of points for like working together as a team and like writing documentation. And like, you don't have to be great at programming to write good documentation. You just have to be able to like clearly explain what's going on. So I want you to try. I think it's really important for you guys to do this and do well at it. Yeah, I like that optimism. Yeah. Yeah, I tried really hard to make this really clear and like give you guys exactly what I wanted. And then I hope working in the smaller teams, I think you guys will, I'm not too worried. I think it'll be fine. We got this. Look at that positivity. I'm loving it. Yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. I just want you guys to like, you know, work together. I believe in us. I'm loving this. Force that enthusiasm. Yeah. My last group hated this, but I gave them a lot harder project. So it's not that I don't believe in you guys or whatever. It's just doing it a group project remote. I've seen like professional developers be like, I don't know what I'm doing. No one will respond to me. Please send help. So we're going to do a simpler project. They've proven that if you like make yourself smile, it makes you feel better. It's going to go well. So like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'm really not worried about it. Normally I let you guys just suffer. I probably will be a little bit more hands-off than normal. With like your guys' individual homework, like I'll come and sit down and read your code and help. This one I'm going to be kind of like, oh no, you should Google it, just so you guys can start to practice that. We're suffering enough already, basically. So yeah, that's that. This is what folding at home looks like, just so you guys can see it. I've been having it run the whole time we've been doing lecture, and you know, we've done some stuff. I'm probably going to make a team for the clubhouse today and add it and do all that. But yeah, it just runs in the background and does a little bit of stuff, which is cool. So any questions about your group project, what I'm expecting you to do? I think all of you guys can make your own Slack channels. If you want to make one and you can't make one, let me know and I will make a Slack channel for you. And like I can kick myself out if you don't want me in your Slack channel, that's fine. Folding at home is just, that's just the extra thing. Like, don't worry about it. It's just a program that uses like the idle parts of your CPU to help do like disease research. And so, you know, I'm going to set up all the lab computers to do that because they're helping with the virus right now. So that's just an extra thing that I talked about a little bit this morning. And then I'll be setting up this afternoon with all the lab computers because I think it'll be, you know, an extra 15 computers on the network is nothing to sneeze at. Barring I get told no. I might get told no. They like to tell me no. But I think it'll be fine. Okay, so any questions about what I expect for the group project, when it's due, what I want, anything else? Yeah. And I think they're going to be like, oh, that's super cool. So I think it'll be fine. So yeah, any questions about that? Oh, no, you can ask me questions. Just if you're asking me specific code questions, I might be a little bit more, I don't know, because I want you guys to like work through it and all that. Because what I'm playing is your client, and so maybe your client can answer like business logic questions like, hey, what format do you want the phone number in? That's a business logic question. But if it's like, hey, how do I write a regex to see if it has a parenthesis or a comma? Maybe not. You might not ask your client that question. So that is kind of what I'm going for. Cool. If you guys want to tell me what you're defining your roles as, awesome, great. If not, that's cool too. It's just a guideline. It's not a hard and fast thing. That's how I would distribute the labor, and that's how I would group them. But yeah, you know, if you want to be more chaotic, you guys know how I feel about chaos. So that's how I would do it though. So I'd have 2 front-end people, 2 back-end people, and 2 QAs, and 1 project manager to keep everybody on track. I do think we will do at least 2 stand-ups. So probably Wednesday we'll start lecture with stand-ups where everybody will just give like a, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm doing. I recommend you guys do your own stand-ups. You can just be a quick Slack message like, hey, I got this done. And all that. If you need like GitHub help with like merge conflicts and stuff, I'll help with that part too. Because merge conflicts can be really hard and scary. So I can help with all that. I would like to reiterate one more time, because you guys especially really like to like go and build crazy things, which is great. I know you guys learn a lot when you do that. Please build a simple thing that works before you go off like and do cool stuff, like make the most simple viable product, then add to it. Because like if you make something that's really pretty but doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right, any questions about what I expect from you guys? Okay, cool. Probably because the laptop went to sleep. Oh, I'm gonna send stuff. All right. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Excellent. All right. So this is in your syllabus. This just goes through how to do everything. I figured we'd go through it together and we'd go through the JAWS part together so that way you guys can see all these pieces. So first, does anybody know what Heroku is? An anime. That's not a terrible guess. It does sound like an anime. Poetry. Okay, that one got me. That was funny. Bad anime. Oh, that was funny, guys. That okay. I like these answers. So one of the things when we talk about an app publishing site, that's closer. When we talk about web development, we talk about like servers and all that kind of stuff. And so far, all we've done is we've used our computer as a server. Well, that's not going to work for production. Like my little tiny laptop can't handle like eBay, you know, a free website server for demos. It's pretty close. You can pay for it too, but we're not going to pay for things. So Heroku is it's a way to get server time and servers, and I think they do the DNS stuff too. I'm not sure, but I think they do all that. Um, I'm sure they do. Works in cloud, yeah, exactly. Let's see if they have like a fancy like marketing thing that they say about themselves. You just go to Heroku maybe. But yeah. Oh, Salesforce is also like a really huge thing if you want to get like Salesforce trained. They're like huge in Atlanta. They do like all sorts of stuff. Okay. I'm getting asked to make marketing stuff, which I'm like, no, thank you. All right. There are other cloud server DNS providers that are really popular. I like Heroku because they have really good documentation. There are a bunch of other ones though. So like we have DigitalOcean is really popular. We have HostGator, we have Rackspace, like all sorts of these different things. They're kind of like the smaller versions of things like, yeah, DigitalOcean. Yeah. They're kind of like the smaller siblings to things like AWS or Google Cloud or stuff like that. They all have like free versions that you get to use, plus like actual like production level stuff that you pay for. Um, um, excellent. All right. These are all like all of these things. We'll talk about what all of these things are today and tomorrow. But DigitalOcean's really popular too. It's cloud services, it's server space, it's where you can buy website names if you want. There's a whole bunch of them. I like DigitalOcean probably the like best for production sites if you don't want to use AWS. This is what I would use. It's well documented, all that. We're using Heroku though because it's I think the easiest to set up. We'll talk about AWS. AWS is Amazon services, so it's Amazon Web Services. Go log in. Also, remember having your Google save your passwords is a bad idea, especially for your admin account for your server stuff. So yeah, this is AWS. They do way more stuff than like DigitalOcean or Heroku, which is why we probably won't build anything with it. Is because there's a lot going on. So we'll talk more in depth about all of this, but like we got like literally hundreds of options with AWS. So it's a little bit too much. Heroku, like we had like 8. So yeah. Go here. Excellent. Okay. So Heroku is a cloud service provider, server space, and that kind of stuff. So that way we can actually make websites exist on the internet where other people can do that. Weird. Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah. So these are just all in your syllabus. This is what I recommend just following. It's not too terrible. All right, let's go. You guys already have Git. Wonderful. You can do all of this stuff through the website too. I don't think you have to do it through the CLI if you don't want to, but I like following directions every now and then, so we will do that. I'm following the Mac instructions because I have a Mac. Obviously, if you're not using a Mac, don't follow that. Okay, there we go. Lexi, you already have Homebrew set up, so you should be able to follow this step too. So you should be good. And everybody else uses Windows, so. You should be G2G. We're gonna let that run. Between server and hosting sites? Yeah, so typically with hosting sites, they group your server space and your domain name together in one charge. And then they do a lot of the underlying work for you. So when you do just the server stuff, you just basically get another computer and then you have to like set up all of this other stuff. Like there's this thing called A records and blah, 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 and we'll talk about that today. Might be tomorrow, but we'll talk about it today or tomorrow about like all those other little pieces. So that's normally what the hosting sites do, is they also give you all of those other tools and then they give you more support. So you can like be like, hey, this doesn't work, what do I do? When you're hosting all of your own stuff though, you don't get as much support, but you get a lot more control. So like I typically don't use hosting sites because like I did DevOps for a long time. So I'm like, just let me update my own server, don't talk to me. But using something like HostGator or SiteGround or whatever takes a little bit of the control away from you, but it also gives you someone else to talk to fix all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to worry about server config issues because they'll fix it for you. So that's typically what the difference is like who controls what and how much of it is paid for what. But that is a good question. And some things do both, like DigitalOcean I think does both. I think Heroku does both. AWS does everything and Google Cloud does everything. So you can do servers, domain names. AWS lets you rent satellite time if you want to run analytics from a satellite. So yeah, that's why I like Heroku. It's a little bit more simple. Okay. I didn't know this was going to take that long to update. While this runs its thing, the other thing I want to talk to you guys about, where is it? I put this in here. I think this is a pretty good guide about like how you get a website online, which is really nice. Most hosting providers give you a free one. What I really like to do is I spend a little bit more money on mine than I could because I'm really lazy, and so all of my stuff is through AWS. If you want to make your own website that you are paying for, think about what it's going to look like long term. So I use AWS for everything because like I know no matter how big my website gets, AWS can support me. Versus if you use something smaller, like one of those hosting services, you can get stuck. And so you can like outpace what you're paying for and be stuck in a contract or something like that. So just be aware if you're doing that. Let's look at like buying a domain name. How do we do that? Typically I start with like a domain name checker so you can look. So all of these, we got Shopify, we got Bluehost, we got name.com is typically where I go. And I'm just waiting for Homebrew, so we're gonna talk about stuff. So then yeah, so we can go and be like, I wanna, you know, this is like the thing that I enjoy, and like, oh look, oh, I might buy another website. Oh no, I was expecting this to not be available. Hmm. And then notice that this is for per year. So it's $9 per year, and then after that it'll be $13 a year. Domain names are pretty cheap. Canned cart. I shouldn't do this. Okay. Lexi, stop it. All right. Notice that there are a bunch of different kind of domains we can do. Typically you want .com for most of your stuff. .co is not terrible. There are a bunch of these other ones that people really, .ninja is very powerful, but most people don't really use these. I've seen .me. There's also a .design. Oh yeah, look, there it is. There's a .design. That's been really popular for designers to use. Okay, what I was hoping is that we'd find one that was like not available. So like, let's look at like Google. If I spell it right. Yeah, when you buy the domain name, it's yours. You hook it up to talk to a server, and whatever you put on the server will show up on the website. Google.com is taken. It is owned by someone. Yeah. So like, for example, when I go in here, the one, the thing is called Route 53 in Amazon. This is typically what I use. So it's $12. And then like, oh man. So see, AWS is a little bit more expensive. That was the one I wanted, google.com. I know. It has a nice ring to it. But yeah, and I like doing all this because it makes sense to me to do it all under one thing. Yeah, because you have to do all the DNS stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yep. I don't know. I have to percolate. We're gonna add it to the cart though. I don't know if we're gonna actually do that or not. But this is it's basically name.com, GoDaddy, all of these kind of things are all the same thing. They're just a way for you to register. You guys are bad influences on me. It's just a way for you to, it's the time. Where am I going? It doesn't matter. All you're doing is, so there's this thing, let's talk about. So why do we get to buy these names is there's this one system that looks up everything that decides who belongs to who. So we use Whois, and so we can be like, okay, Whois google.com. Takes a couple minutes, and then it says, okay, this is already registered. Who is it registered by? The creation date is 97. And it gives you a bunch of stuff. We have name servers. We have like all of this stuff. You can sometimes, if they're smaller things, you get a lot more information. So you get all of that. So with all this, Google's .security is $2,000, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Check out. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Do not. I don't want a $2,000 website. So the reason some of these get really expensive is because people really want them. So sometimes people will go through and buy a bunch of cheap ones and then resell them. This is, you might have seen things like when you mistype something popular like eBay or Google or Facebook or something, you might land on something that's like, this website is taken. Please contact so-and-so to purchase it, or for advertising or whatever. That's typically what people do is once something is popular, they buy all the variations of it. And then, you know, sometimes they do malicious things with it. Other times it's just like, you know, oh, you misspelled Google. Please give me $1. So, you know, a lot of people now buy also misspellings of their websites, so that way that kind of stuff doesn't happen. But That's why that happened. Um, I could put Magento on here and I could start selling stuff, guys. Oh, oh. Okay, we'll worry about it later. We'll percolate later. It'll be okay. We'll think about it. Okay. So right now I have one that I own, and that's my stupid spookygovernmentwebsite.com. Um, can I see it? 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 Okay, so it has all of these things in here, and it has the ones that we really care about are A records and NS records. What these mean are ways for the domain name, which is the human readable part, to understand where it actually should go for the actual address. So the A record is what the website should go to. So this is the IP address for my actual server. This is where the actual content for the website is. This NS record stands for name server. And I use Cloudflare. And so basically that's just kind of like, I think at our most simple level, the name server is just like kind of like a like, what's the server called? And so when you go to the spookygovernmentwebsite.com, it hits those name servers instead of my actual server. And that's really nice for like security and stuff. I don't know what an SOA record is. It looks like it is the host record. Start of authority. Yeah, so that's my security cert for the website. But we care about A records, which tell it where to go, and we care about name server records, which we can set up things like Cloudflare. Do I care about anything else? You also have all these email things if you're hosting your own email. That used to be a really important part of being like a DevOps or a webmaster or whatever. With things like Google, it's a lot less important, but you'll see like a bunch of different records for email typically. Any questions about like buying a domain name or what like these A records are? And almost all of them look the same as this, and you just go into here and say, okay, here's my website and here's the thing for my server. So after you buy a domain, how do you use it? Yeah, so you change the A record to point to your server. And then once you have a server and a domain name that are talking to each other, you have a website. Oh, maybe I'll just buy, okay, fine. Okay, I'm buying it. Oh, that's my old address. Oh, well, we can leave it. It's fine. Yes. I probably will. This is kind of part of it though. It's just like you buy a bunch of things you don't need. Okay. Domain registration may take up 3 days. How rude. Oh, okay, so that's gonna take time. Bummer. Okay. All right, anyways, okay, fine. We'll go back to my other one then. So let's assume that like this didn't have any records in here. Almost all of the websites, no matter if you use like GoDaddy, name.com, HostGator, any of them, the flow's about the same, but you might need to follow whatever their steps are. But you get your domain name for whatever service provider you ask. I use AWS because AWS hosts my servers, so it's easier for me to have one account that groups everything together instead of, you know, like I have a server over here and I have a domain name over here, and then I pay for a security cert over here. I group everything under one service. It's more expensive that way, but like an extra $2 or $3 a month is worth not having to log into a bunch of different services for me. It might not be for you. right now I pay about, well, now I just got bumped up to like $8 for my website domain and my server. But yeah, so then you'd go in and get a server. For Amazon, the most common one's EC2. I like Lightsail. Again, it's a little bit more expensive, but I think it's really easy to use. So this is my server. It has all the hardware specs. Yes and no. When you're using like Heroku, you get like the free demo ones and you don't get to pick what the name is. It's just, well, like I think the last one we built was like dental clips at heroku.com. But if you want like an actual domain name that you pick, it costs money. That's why we use GitHub Pages, because GitHub Pages is free. And so you don't have to buy a domain and set up all your A records to point to a server that you're also paying for. So that's why I love GitHub Pages so much. Okay. So you'd make a new server. I don't like Wix. Wix is like WordPress basically, and like I don't know. I feel like when you try to do too many things at once, you start to do everything poorly. And I feel like that's like what Wix does. I kind of feel the same way about Squarespace. I feel like Squarespace is a little bit better, but not a lot. It does a whole bunch of stuff for you. So like it does the server management, it does a bunch of the design work, it hosts a bunch of stuff for you. And that's nice, I guess. Personally, I find it like, I think it's because I have like the building block mentality and like I like building everything. So to be handed like a pre-made thing and be like, here, this is it. I don't super like them, but they are really useful for like, I have an idea and I want a website. Things like Wix and Squarespace can be really, really useful. But if like you know how to code or like you want to even just make something kind of unique, using those pre-packaged solutions can be really hard. Especially if you want to do anything weird. Like if you just want to like, bam, here you go, this is, you know, website. They're useful, but I don't super like them. I like Lightsail to make servers a lot. They're a little bit more expensive and they're not as powerful as creating an EC2 instance, but they're pretty easy to use. And I like easy to use. But yeah, so like if I hop into this one, and we'll talk about what that magic SSH means too in just a second. Well, okay, just a second, today or tomorrow. I was reading sudo flask. Oof. Here. Yeah. I'm so rude. I have some kind of cert that's very angry with me, and I need to just like actually fix it. I just haven't yet. I could find what the actual password and username for this server is. I also love that it tells me I'm logged in when I'm not. I think I have some kind of thing messed up. Oh, now, how about now? There we go. Load, please. Today. Okay, cool. I know. Okay, I gotta update it. So this is what the server side looks like, and this is why I like Lightsail, is because it gives us Plesk, and Plesk is just a really nice UI to play with all of the stuff on the server. Traditionally, you do all of this stuff through the command line, but that can be pretty scary for like, if you've never done it before, it can be pretty scary. So I like using Lightsail a little bit more. And then I just go in and add my domain, and then, it just work, which is cool. The other thing is, you also get a free Let's Encrypt cert, and so you should always say yes. And you should have Git support, which is nice. So I like Lightsail a lot. It's a little bit more expensive than just doing like her traditional thing, but I think it's a lot easier to use. So for me, that's worth it. But, do that. So you get a domain name that you buy from like GoDaddy, name.com, Route 53. Google has one, doesn't super matter. I recommend buying the domain name from whatever server provider you're going to use, just for simplicity's sake, but it might be cheaper to spread them apart. But I like to keep them all pretty simple. Then you take your domain name, you create an A record with the IP address of your server, and then they connect. And then you add, HTML and CSS and Java and all that. It sounds to me, Diane, like you are really going through the apocalyptical part of this. Get a tiny generator just for the fish tank. But yeah. So that's a little bit about like the website stuff while Heroku was installing, because it took a little bit of time. Waiting for the zombies now. You and my dad both. My dad is so excited for the zombie apocalypse. He's waiting very patiently. All right, let's go ahead and do our break, and then when we come back, we'll keep on keeping on with the Heroku demo. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and come back at 10:30. Almost at 11:30. You guys are done for the day. Bye. Let's come back at 10:30. Any questions about like how to buy a domain name, what an A record is, or what an IP address is before we go? Okay. All right. I will see you guys back at 10:30. Well, Slack them to me. Okay. Slack me your questions, Nick.